And after speaking with the king, we can now progress with the Lord Chamberlain's main side quest. You talk to the Master of Revels here, and it must be a good thing to be like the Master of chocolates. I mean, you're the Master of caramel chocolates, but on the downside, you're also the Master of coffee chocolates. So there you go. Oh, and he says he won't let them perform unless he gets 6 Gargoyle Blood Stonefire Lanterns, which is something we can do in our next dungeon. I'll explain that later. Now, the city of the Kosani is an area which we'll need to go to finish the game, but we'll need an item to get in there, which brings us here. We get the Blade of Torin from this guy, and this will... I guess this blade is a sign of the kinsmanship between the humans and the Kosani. So I guess if we're nice to the Kosani, they will show up and help defend us at Helm's Deep. So there you go. Although from what I gather from Tolkien purists, the Kosani showing up at Helm's Deep is only slightly more ridiculous than the elves showing up at Helm's Deep. But there you go. Now, talking to this guy, you hand back the Feather of Uraf, and that will complete that side quest. So, Holy War averted. Now, talking to this guy, we find out he is the brother of Milara, and this is actually quite a sad story, because we have brother and sister here, separated, and each going to a different order. And the thing is, neither of them can leave, so they're separated for the rest of their lives, which is it's quite a bittersweet tale. But he does give us the necklace to give to her, and that will complete the side quest. So at least for the time being, these two, they'll know that each other are safe. They'll know that each other are safe. Well, I really need to learn to grammar. But anyway, I talked to the weapon merchant here, and this next part, there are quite a few enemies and a very particular boss that are weak to blunt instruments. So I'd recommend buying 2 sledgehammers, one for Joseph and one for Jakar. And that's just a good tip in general, because the most of the enemies in this game are weak to blunt objects. And of course I'll sell off a few axe weapons, which I will not need, and also a few bows. Again, it's the best way to earn money in this game. Now, opposite from the... I don't want to sell the Sword of Spirits, but opposite from this weapon vendor here is the Lantern Maker. And to complete the Lord Chamberlain's men's quest, we need to get him to make 6 Stonefire Lanterns. Now, to do that, we'll need some Gargoyle's blood, which we'll find in this swamp dungeon we're going to next. And like I said, you have a choice between doing this swamp dungeon or the Kosani dungeon. You have to do both of them, but you can pick the order. And I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but you're better off doing the swamp first, because once you complete both side quests, when you return to the city, let's say that some side quests can't be completed because the city will be different. So yeah, it's best doing the swamp first for that reason. So Gargoyle's blood. That's actually a pretty impossible mission. I mean, you can't get blood from a stone, but I think that was the whole point, wasn't it? Anyway, back in Old City. Now, I said before we need to head to the swamp, but we need a map, because otherwise it wouldn't show up. So Fleece goes to the Old City and talks to her mentor, Tangrid, the Prince of Fleas. No, he's the King of Fleas and the Prince of Rats or something, whatever. He has one of those fancy nicknames. Anyway, the guys in his den here do have some pretty rare items to sell, and they pretty much will buy anything. So, yeah, that's a plus at least. This is actually probably the best place to go to get items. Now, to talk about Tancred here, he's the man who essentially raised Fleece. He's sort of her father figure and mentor. And the thing is, you see him lying in the bed there, and the thing is, he has a unique character model. I think he was meant to be a main character, or at least, you know, a character that would have had some lines. And unfortunately, this is an important plot point, but Tangrid has been poisoned. And this, and before, I'm not going to spoil it too much, but Fleece has the best backstory out of all 4 of these characters. And it's pretty interesting. And this ties into it. And this mysterious woman in white, who's presumably also going after Daniel Radcliffe. Or, oh wait, no, he was in a movie that was called The Woman in Black. Well, I messed that reference up, but anyway. He has been mysteriously poisoned, and we will find the perpetrator eventually. But anyway, we do get the map to the Ikama Swamp. So, yep, that's where we're going next. And I do like the sad music here. Oh, and speaking of the music, something I should point out that the composer, Scott Lee, who composed all the music in this game, he's about to re-release all the work remastered. So that should be definitely something to look out for if you're a fan of the game. Oh, and you need to speak to the apothecary to get the map, and there you go. Well, what I find funny is that you can't actually read the map. All the map will do is make sure the location will appear on the map. On the world map, I mean. So we're not exactly going to be doing a bit of orienteering. Anyway, back to Iona, and now we can finish off these 2 side quests here. Talking to Milara, we will tell her about her brother, and also yeah, we'll also. I got interrupted there by the NPCs. Well, by my party members. With like I said before, they're ridiculous voice clips. But anyway, because we got that sad moment interrupted, we give her the necklace, and that will show that her brother is alive. So it's a very bittersweet ending there. I was talking to this guy. He'll tell us that the person has left. Oh no! Something I didn't do before is that to finish off the Novice Sama quest, you have to talk to her. Yeah, and I didn't. You can do that as soon as you the very first time you're on the monastery. And that's really the best place to do it, obviously. But anyway, like I said before, presumably Keela isn't here. She's gone back home, so. Now, when it comes to leveling up, I'm also going to level up a bit of fire and ice spells of Rosalind. Also, you know, I should also level up her heal as well eventually. And when it comes to Fleece, again, I'm spoilt for choice. So I'll give one to Appraise, and one more to Trip, I guess, because Trip will be a very important skill we'll use later on. Now, as for Jakar, now to talk about this character, he's pretty much a hefty brawler type. You know, he's a fighter, so luckily we don't have to worry too much about what we level up. Like, for example, blunt weapons, definitely worth leveling up. Heavy arms, definitely worth leveling up. You know, if you want him to be able to carry the heavy weapons later on. And yeah, I think that's it for now. Yeah, that's probably for the best. Level up his a heavy arm, so we can equip a heavy weapon like this. Now the sledgehammer, it's pretty powerful, but it's a two-handed weapon and it slows. So, which means you can't really equip a shield and the sledgehammer. Now, before we head off to the swamp, we just need to complete that random encounter side quest and retrieve Torva's magic lute. Now, Torva's magic lute will appear in this specific random encounter. It's the forest at night, and it's the one where you're surrounded by bone knights and bone servants. So once you know that, you know which encounter you're looking for. Damn, these loading times are big. But anyway, looking at this now, you can see which random encounter you need to look out for. The one where you find yourself in the middle of a forest and suddenly ambushed by a fire imp, well, a red imp. Yeah, I guess I call him a fire imp because he's actually fire-based. But anyway, you find yourself surrounded by a red imp and these bone servants, and you know, that pretty much lets you know where you are. Again, these guys, they just seem very similar to the enemies you fought in the catacombs. Although it does make me wonder if these imps were supposed to be in the catacombs. And I'm glad they weren't. They can be somewhat of a nuisance. You know, they're fairly fast and agile, and they also cast magic. But fortunately, a few fire spells will teach these guys a lesson. Oh, but by the way, don't cast fire spells on a red imp. In fact, that just seems to be a general code with this game. Like, red enemies that have like red in their name, they're fire-based, and they're resistant towards fire and weak to ice. And blue enemies will be the opposite. You know, ice-based and weak against fire. So fire beats ice, ice beats fire. Pretty simple to remember. And with that, we've retrieved his loot, and yeah, we're done for now.